What's good, everybody? Hope you're doing awesome today. I just wanted to kind of chime in. I've seen quite a few videos asking, is New World dying? And I just wanted to bring in my 2 cents on it. So I have here on Steam charts, I just kind of wanted to weigh in on what I thought. The New World numbers right now currently sitting at 3. Top records all time sitting at 4. Uh, but a lot of people have quit playing. So if we take a look at New World, and let's see here. So we have an all-time peak of 913,000, a current playing of 322.7, and a 24-hour peak of 377,000. So I think what a lot of the is New World dying videos that I'm seeing are surrounded around this drop off in such a short amount of time. And I think a lot of people need context on these numbers. So, first off, I think if you look at just the amount of drop off, usually when a game first releases, within that first week, the numbers are going to be insane and not indicative, I think, of what the title should be expected to do through the course of the game. But usually the drop off is probably a little bit less significant than this. And I think there are a few reasons for that. I think you have to look at, first off, the genre of the game. If we go back and look here, we're behind Counter-Strike and Dota. So, PvP shooter and a MOBA. And then you look behind us, you get PUBG and Apex Legends, both, multiplayer battle royale shooters. And sandwiched in here, we have this MMO RPG that focuses very heavily on a complex crafting system that is integral to the game. That's not to say that these type of games are necessarily hamstrung, but I think if you look at games, particularly games like this, where you have a battle royale PvP shooter, I think those kind of scratch more of that instant gratification that a lot of gamers tend to gravitate towards. And New World, it's a slower paced game, although there are a lot of MMORPG fans out there. That's just to say that it's probably a touch more niche than what we would think, because we saw those crazy numbers right out the box that a lot of people think that 913,000 is pretty crazy for, an MMO in such a short amount of time. And I think a lot of people thought that was, going to be what it was about. I think the other thing we have to look at, and this is not to sugarcoat Amazon's handling of their launch. The way that they did it, they added a whole bunch of servers. So, they went from, let's say, 100 servers to 200. That's not the exact numbers, but for sake of argument. The problem being is, I think if they would have planned better, they would have planned to be able to scale the servers that they were opening in case of such a situation. But I don't believe they planned very well to be able to scale those servers. So now they've added a whole bunch of servers, and we have to look at the situation first on the front end of, there was so many players who were waiting in obscenely long queues, and when you get that, you're going to get a bunch of people who just quit playing. And then on the back end, now we've had, it's about a month after launch, and a lot of people, have quit the game. And so there's a lot of those servers that they opened up now that are dead. I'm on one of them as well. I'm on GUON on the US East, at least currently I am. And it is generally always bottom 5 as far as US East servers are, usually bottom 2. And I think that my experience on that server gives me a better understanding of why I think a lot of people feel like New World's dying, because if you're on one of those servers that now, I mean, I think I looked last night and we had peak 350 players online for a server of 2,000. And in that instance, the markets die. The player is playing solo a lot of the time. So it's a very different feeling as opposed to, servers like Valhalla where, there's still queues on those 1 month later. So I think on the back end, what Amazon did in their poor planning has also caused people to quit, just because the game feels like it's dead, even though it's not. But since it's so isolated to servers that they expanded rapidly and now have to contract rapidly, they're kind of coming back to the norm. I think what they're kind of doing at this point is finding their equilibrium, but I will not sugarcoat it that the way they've handled this whole process has damaged where that equilibrium will be. Just for instance, one of my own viewers last night had quit playing, and he did not even realize that a free server transfer was something that they were doing. So I don't know that they've necessarily communicated it that well, and it's very hard when you get, nearly 1 million players online at one time to communicate to all of those people about the free server transfer. I think because they've handled it so poorly, they've lost people on the front end with the queues, people on the back end with the dead servers. And I think even though the game's good and it's finding its equilibrium and it's still keeping a core of players on it, there is a lot of reason to wonder if Amazon's handling has fumbled their opportunity. I think you will get some people coming back to the game, perhaps as people realize that there is a free server transfer. You're not locked to that server. I'm sure Amazon, sooner rather than later, will handle merging some of those smaller servers together with either larger servers or a cluster of other smaller servers, depending on the situation. I mean, I obviously know that the world sets are such that you can't just merge any two servers together. But they need to address that sooner rather than later, because you don't want to have these really small servers hanging around for an extended period of time, because that's just going to further damage your player base, having a server like that. I will say that as I think the game reaches equilibrium, I do believe there is a possibility for it to continue to grow. My reasoning being that I almost didn't give this game a shot as well. Amazon didn't have the greatest track record as far as their gaming division, so I kind of assumed it would probably not be very good right out the gates. Now, I was obviously pleasantly surprised that the actual game itself feels very different, but I'm sure there's others like me who, because it's Amazon games, were not right on board at the onset. And now that they're finding out that the game's good, you might start to see some players trickle in. You may see some players trickle back. I do think there's opportunity for it to grow, particularly as they expand content, as they add more PvP modes, as they do a lot of other things with the game. But right now, I think what's going on with people calling the game dead is a lot of hyperbole. It's definitely taking damage at its own hands. But they are working to address things, and I do believe that we've kind of reached that bottom now to where things can start to come up a little bit, and then we can kind of figure out what the equilibrium is going to be for this game. But anyways, guys, that's just my thoughts on this. If you found this helpful at all or found this interesting, please do me a favor and just leave a like on the video. It helps tremendously with my reach. And until next time, guys, get awesome.